All right, here we go. We're here. Welcome to
Hmm.
Fanbased. I'm here with Cam in Boston. My name's Landon, and honestly, we're just gonna jump right into it.
Cool.
I'm gonna start with you first, Boston. Josh Dobbs, he's been going crazy.
He has.
Does that make the Vikings real competitors in the NFC?
Oh man, they're looking good, and Jettas is going to be back. I mean, that team is looking, and they've got Addison out there. Their run game is they need to figure that out. But what I can say is no, not competitors whatsoever. There's no. I mean, it's the NFC is weak, so that's cool. They can make the playoffs easily, but competitors, I just can't. Josh Dobbs doesn't make them competitors. Cousins, that's a competitive team that can compete for a Super Bowl, in my opinion, just because the offense is high powered. Do I think Josh Dobbs can compete? I think he can compete in the first round of a playoff game. Heck, I can't even see I can't see him getting to the NFC Championship. But two things that could be good for the Vikings in the long run. This could have they not that Kirk's going to be anybody they want to move on from because he was lighting it up as he always does, but this could be some good trade capital for them. And hopefully, maybe he'll be on a team and dominate next year. He's going to be fun to watch all year. I mean, I'm going to watch every game that he's in because he's so fun to watch. He was elite in college. I remember in college. Well, I take that back. He wasn't elite in college. He was supposed to be elite in college, and then he didn't perform what he was supposed to. But he had a lot of high hopes. He seems like he got his head on his shoulders. No, I don't think they're competitors for the Super Bowl, but I think they compete for maybe a playoff game, maybe two.
How you feeling about it, Cam?
I'm on the opposite end from Boston, honestly. I think Josh Dobbs does actually make the Vikings competitors. Like Boston said, they've been doing all this without Jettas. They're on a 5 game win streak right now. Looking at their upcoming schedule, they've got Denver, Chicago, Las Vegas in their next three, which I think are three very winnable games for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then they go to Cincinnati, who just lost Joe Burrow last night, unfortunately. So that's another very winnable game for them. But then after that, they finish with three division games with two Detroit and one Green Bay. But luckily for them, one of the Detroit games and the Green Bay game will be at home. I think they have a very, very favorable remaining schedule. Right now, they're sitting at 6-4, which is getting them in the wild card. I'm pretty sure. I'm not
Yeah,
100% on that, but I'm
they'd be
pretty
the
sure they
third
get
wild card
there.
team.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think they have a very favorable schedule. NFC's been really top heavy, I'd say, this year. A lot of teams are down this year. Rams are down. Packers are down. Whole NFC South is down. I think the Vikings have a legitimate shot to get into
Oh yeah,
playoffs.
they'll make the playoffs for
And
sure. For sure, will make the
yeah,
playoffs.
and contrary to some people's beliefs, I think the Vikings have a legitimate shot to win the division still.
Oh, you think over the Lions and Jared Goff? I think okay with the
Yeah.
schedule you gave, they could win the division. But I just can't. I
Ah,
can't see them. I can see them winning the division because that is a slightly easy schedule. Russell Wilson's been playing better. I wouldn't say he's been playing well. It's been better. It's got some easy wins in there, but the Lions are a tough team to beat. And if Dobbs can
yeah.
continue to play this way, great. Goff has kind of proven himself by this point. But I agree. I mean, I don't think there's a chance they miss the playoffs. I couldn't. The NFC South, wild. There's nobody in the NFC South can make the wild card. Maybe the Bucks. I doubt it. No chance they pass the Vikings. But the Seahawks, because the NFC East, you're going to have probably the Cowboys and the Eagles. You're going to have the Seahawks are going to be in it for sure. What I assume they're in the wild card too, but I'd assume they're going to get in, and the Lions that they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they can make a run.
For
I
sure.
don't know. I think they can make a little run. I mean, it's one of those teams. I don't know if they're going to win the division, but you get one of those teams that's feeling confident in their quarterback. They got like a change of pace. I don't know. They're one of those teams that can just sneak a game out against. I don't know if they get a favorable matchup against Dallas, maybe. I mean, even the Niners, I think their offense can compete with that defense when you got Jettas, you got Addison. If you can get a decent running game going, Josh Dobbs really helps with that compared to Kirk Cousins because he's a threat to run. I mean, he can take off. I mean, he's had a couple of 40-yard touchdown runs this year. I mean, I'm a big stats guy. I'm gonna look here. Since he's been with the Vikings, Week 9, he was number one in QBR in Week 9. He was number two in QBR in Week 10. I know that's a small sample size. I know it doesn't really mean much, But just seeing him upgrade from an awful team in Arizona, awful defense, awful offensive line, now playing two solid defenses, New Orleans and Atlanta. Obviously, their offenses can't really compete that
Mm-hmm.
well, but they got some good defenses, and he made them look, especially in the first half last week. He made the Saints look just like they weren't, like they couldn't even play any defense. It looked like the Giants out there.
Those two teams didn't have any offenses. Their defenses were on the field a lot, and the Atlanta should have an offense, but they don't. With
Yeah,
especially elite run
And
game.
and also to that too, the Saints, I'm pretty sure before the game were 10th or top 10 in the league in passing yards per game. So,
But a
I
lot of
mean,
that's dumping off to Alvin Kamara. A lot of that's dumping off to Alvin Kamara.
yeah. It's really hard to judge playing against those two teams, and like you said, their remaining schedule isn't very difficult. So their real test won't be till the Lions. I really want to see how they play against Detroit. I mean, who's got the best O line in the league? They got a solid defense, and then they got guys on the offensive side. I mean, so that's going to be the real test. If they can like even compete with Detroit, they might cause some
If they
problems.
win their
But
division, that
I
would be
mean,
fun. That'd be really fun. And honestly, being a wild, if they were, they're competing for probably the second spot in the wild card, second and first and second, and honestly, first, second, and third, because that's I think it's going to be right now. It's the Seahawks, Cowboys, Vikings. It's going to come down to those three probably. I can't see the Cowboys catching up the Eagles. San Fran
nah,
and the Seahawks are going to go up and down. That could be. I mean, San Fran in there would be also exciting. So it's going to be. I think the NFC is going to be really fun playoffs. I think the Vikings will be in it, and I'm rooting for Josh Dobbs to make a run because that would be. I mean, that I saw a thing that was the Colts had at one point Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew, Josh Dobbs, the three best backup quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. And I just thought that was
yeah,
hilarious. But if he comes in and he pulls
that's
a Nick
crazy.
Foles and he can take the guys from beginning to end, that'd be awesome.
I mean, okay. So I mean, let's who's you got top two competitors in each division. Then if Vikings aren't up there for y'all, who you got?
I'll go ahead and start. I think Eagles for sure. You can't count them out. And the scary part about the
Got
Eagles,
the jersey in the background. Maybe a little biased.
the scary part about the Eagles is I hear it all the time is you guys aren't playing that well. You guys are not playing as well as you did last year. That should be scary for everybody. The fact that we're 8-1 and we're not playing the best ball. Our defense has been I call atrocious, but I call every Philly sports team atrocious until they win a championship. But it's been atrocious. Our corners have been mid. We've been super beat up in the back end, but because we've given up, I think a QBR. Speaking of Josh Dobbs QBRs, I think we've given up a QBR of 99 on average to teams. That's embarrassing. That's terrible. So I think but still at that point, if the Eagles can get it together more than they already have, they're going to be a team to beat. They got a tough stretch coming down the line. I think probably San Fran. That's a complete team. Brock Purdy, nobody really trusts him yet. I trust him. I don't see why you wouldn't
Yeah,
at this point. He has, even if it's because he has a talent around him. That's why you trust him. I mean, if you can,
exactly.
that's when you trust somebody. It's not like, oh, can this guy make something of nothing like that? Yeah, that'll make a Tom Brady, but you don't need him to be Tom Brady. You need him to be Brock Purdy. That defense hasn't been playing as well as last year, but still elite. That's got to be the top two in the NFC for me. I mean, you can count in the Lions, but after they got so torched by the Ravens, now the Ravens are. We'll get to the Ravens, but they got torched by the Ravens. So that's hard, and everybody gets beat, but getting beat that bad, it's hard to put them at the top of a division when you're ranking them. But in the AFC, I'm always going Kansas City. I can't count Kansas City out. You never count Kansas City out. I don't care where they
Can't.
are, how many they lose in a row. It's Kansas City. They're in the same box as the Eagles. The way their defense is playing is elite. Their offense has been mid, but they have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, Pacheco. They've got a lineup of all these studs, and their offense can't put it together. But when they do, it's going to be scary. That game this week, Eagles and Chiefs, is going to be great. You can't count them out, no matter what anybody says. And I think the Ravens are the number two. I had the Ravens before this past week. I had them as the best team in football over the Eagles. I just thought they're so elite. They're so fun to watch. With their outside guys, they got a lot of speed. Their running back, they keep bringing guys in. Even is it Mitchell back there? He's not and too
Yeah.
well, but he's shifty. They give him the ball. He's a nice speed back to get in there, but you don't really need that.
Hey, from ECU.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you got Lamar back there, I'm not too worried about your run game because he's going to make the run game good no matter what. As long as you hold onto that ball, and these guys got to put a spy on him when he's dropping back, and they got to keep a guy on him just in case in the RPO that he takes off or if he's going to hand it off in an option. The running backs are going to make do. So I got Chiefs, Ravens in there. Um, that's that's all I'm going to go with those two. There's some other teams that you can put in there, but right now Chiefs, Ravens for me are number one and number two.
Yeah, for sure. I wrote the same thing down when, kind of game planning this. I put Ravens, but I didn't put the Chiefs. I just put Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
I feel like it's hard to really
yeah.
doubt out just Patrick Mahomes right now. Um, but going to the NFC before this season, this is actually right the night of the Super Bowl last year. I did like a way too early 2024 prediction for this year. And I had the Eagles and the Cowboys in the NFC Championship. And I think that's a very real possibility if they don't meet before the NFC Championship. I just think those two teams are the two most legit teams in the NFC right now. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get a Chiefs Eagles rematch in the Super Bowl again this year. But I think the Dolphins are also still in play in the AFC. Their offense is just so high powered. It just really comes down to their defense. But then also in the NFC, don't count the 49ers out. They've been there the past couple of years. Even though they had lost three straight in a row and Brock Purdy didn't look as good, which doesn't surprise me. But they came back out off the bye week last week, absolutely thrashed the Jaguars.
Yeah,
Um,
for real.
and then, contrary to what I was saying earlier, I wouldn't count the Lions out either. Dan Campbell's energy when it comes to the playoff time is going to be elite. And I think that they have. Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl before with a good defense, so why can't he do it again?
You have the Cowboys
Yeah,
up there, and well, which is fine. So in that sense, would you have the Cowboys maybe in the Super Bowl? You think Dak Prescott can take them to a Super Bowl?
I'm not. See, that's the thing is, I'm not saying Dak Prescott can take them to a Super Bowl. I think the Cowboys as a whole can go to a Super Bowl. I just don't know how Dak would do
the
when it comes to the big lights.
Cowboys will be Cowboys, man. They will be the Cowboys. They will find some way to lose that game if they even get there in the first place. The Cowboys will be the
And you
Cowboys,
haven't
man. I
counted
just
you
don't
haven't
see it.
counted
They
Miami
always.
out. You haven't counted Miami out. I get they got
I have
you
not.
can't count Tua and you can't count Tyreek Hill out, but boy, who have they beaten? Who have they beaten?
Oh no, I agree. I agree.
And
I
that's
agree.
this isn't
100%.
this isn't a oh well you play who you play. Yeah, you play who you play, and they can't beat good teams. They can't beat good teams to save their life. So I just can't see them under the big lights. And we're getting into the cold season, and now you're practicing in Miami, you're playing in Miami. You can't win big games. Now you got to win big games in the cold, which I don't think weather's too big of a factor. These guys are elite. They've been doing it their whole lives, but Miami, it's hard to believe in them. I wanted to. I wanted to. I love that team. I love that coach. That offense is so fun to watch. It's so crazy to see all these guys. It looks like backyard football, but they can't beat these big teams.
It's because Tua is not him. I'm sorry. I know you're a Bama boy, Boston, but
Ooh.
Tua is not him. He cannot. I tell you, he can put up 70 against the Broncos when they're playing bad, but it just seems like when you need him to make a play against a good team, he's kind of shy from the moment.
I can't agree with you there. His QBR has been elite. His passing
I
yards have
do.
been elite. Now he has Tyreek Hill and Waddle, and I can't. It's not an excuse. He should be winning with those guys. But I got nothing to come back with that. Right now, he's not proven it in the big games, but neither has the rest of the team. The defense has held steady-ish, uh, but even we're looking back, they had a couple games where the offense only put up 10 points or less. Because even against the Eagles, they had 17, but a touchdown of those came from a pick six. So and another one was a
Yeah,
turnover in our red zone that they scored on. So the only time they could even score was getting the ball right on the goal line. So yeah, that Tua can't make plays in the big moments, but neither could Kirk Cousins. So maybe Tua can be the new next Kirk.
and he and neither can Justin Herbert, but we can talk about that at a different time. I'm not high on Herbert, but I know that's an argument for a
Mm-hmm.
different time. Um, I haven't even said who my competitors are yet because it's a little bit different
Let's
than
hear it.
y'all. I do have Chiefs and Ravens in the AFC. I have to. You got to. They're the two best teams. It's not even close. I have here Ravens/Cincinnati. I was going to see how last night turned out. Obviously, Cincinnati is not there no more. I mean, if they could have won last night, I feel like they were at least going to compete with Joe Burrow. But I mean, without him, their season's over. I'm sorry, but I also got a star here. I got watch out for Houston. They're that team for me that's like the Vikings in the NFC. If they can catch fire somehow, they're just there's always one of those teams that just surprises you out of nowhere. And I feel like Houston could be that team this year. C.J. Stroud is really put some life into that team. I mean, they got good coaching, and it's not even just new head coach. They brought in everybody. Their defense looks better every week. Their offense looks better every week.
I love Ryans. He might be my favorite coach in the NFL.
Great head coach.
Now, to your point, I got their schedule put up right here. Maybe we can do a little win-loss coming down the line. Right now, they're 5-4. You guys tell me if they win or lose this one. Game coming up on Sunday versus the Jags. That's the tight one.
I think they win that one. Wait, where is it? Is it where is it?
The Jags.
I think they win that one.
And then they're at home versus the Broncos.
They win that one.
They're at the Jets and Zach Wilson.
They win that one.
I don't know. They might lose that one.
All right. They're at the Titans.
Probably W.
I think
I see it. Versus the Browns with no Deshaun Watson. At home.
At home or in Cleveland?
See, that's for me. They either lose that game or the Jacksonville game. I don't think they lose both. I think if they lose that Jacksonville game, they come into Cleveland prepared. If they beat Jacksonville, they might be a little lackadaisical.
And with no Deshaun Watson, I mean,
I know, but that defense is so good, and
it is.
I know C.J. Stroud has been good, but he's still a rookie. You could force him into a couple mistakes. I mean, their defense has been winning them games. Deshaun Watson has not played that well. Their defense has been winning them games.
Okay, we got a 50-50 ball on that one. And they finished the season with at home versus the Titans and then at the Colts. Those are winnable games. Those are winnable games. I mean, let's say they do lose. Let's say they lose to the Jags and the Browns. That would put them at 10. How many? We got 11-6.
10-7. Or I'll put them at 11-6. Yeah.
Put them at 11-6.
I might have them at 10-7. I think they might lose a divisional game, especially against Indy. Indy's okay. I mean, they got Gardner Minshew he does a job.
Yeah, it depends when you get down to it. That last game of the season, who's fighting for what? Because they might be just fighting for pride, or they might be fighting in hope to knock the Texans out. But if they got nothing to fight for there in Indy, why? But they're doing well. They're 5-5, so it could come down to a division game right there to make a playoff spot, which would be even cooler. Because I love Gardner Minshew and C.J. Stroud, so that'd be a fun game.
I mean, if they can beat Jacksonville this week, that's huge for them as far as winning the division goes. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal.
I think a question with them is their defense, though.
Yeah.
I think their offense is good. Their defense has got good players. They're just really young. So I want to see, how those guys perform when it's big time because they haven't really been there before.
Yeah, that's fair. I think DeMeco Ryans is such an elite defensive player in his heyday. I think he's going to help that team out from top to bottom, just be fine. And if their offense can click and you have a defensive coach come in, you never see that. You always see a defensive coach come in and they win like Iowa football wins. Boring, slow games.
Oh, those are the worst. But yeah, I mean, that defense. You're right, Cam. I mean, to me, they've looked better every week, but that still doesn't mean they're good. They're gonna have to keep improving if they want to really make some noise. And honestly, though, if you're a Texans fan and you make the first round of the playoffs and you lose, you're happy. How bad they've been, you're happy as a Texans fan if you make the playoffs or even compete. If you come down to week 15, 16 and you're still competing for a playoff spot, you can't complain with that.
No, they've got a division that's open for years to come with all these young guys in them.
Mm-hmm. They got their future at QB.
Your NFC?
But I know we strayed a little bit.
What's
said
your
what?
NFC pick?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got the Lions at number 1 for me. And then I got 49ers/Eagles as my number 2. I couldn't put either one of those outside of my top 2. But I love Dan Campbell. Campbell.
Dan Campbell.
He just just watching him coach puts energy in me, and I'm sitting my ass on the couch. Like I'm telling you, man, he's I don't know. Something about it is just I love rooting for those teams that just make a random run and they're not supposed to. And I guess that's because I'm a Giants fan and my teams always suck. But I mean, I, I I haven't seen enough from Brock Purdy to really compete for a Super Bowl. I know their defense is elite. I know they got Christian McCaffrey, but eventually you get a team that can expose him and force him to make plays. I don't think he can beat you, especially against a team like the Eagles, even a team like the Lions. He can't beat you, and you're going to need your quarterback to make big plays.
So we're saying Josh Dobbs can make a playoff run, but we're concerned about Brock Purdy.
Yeah, 100%. I think Josh Dobbs is better than Brock Purdy. My
That
opinion.
may be true. I'm not saying it's not. That's a valid opinion, but Brock Purdy's proved it, and I feel like this. Brock Purdy's the only guy in the league right now that hasn't one okay game, like or if the game he plays a bad game and the world turns on him. Any other quarterback, like Jared Goff, could have a bad game, but like, oh, it's fine, he'll be fine, and that's Jared Goff. You know, Patrick Mahomes, that's different. But all these starting people, Ryan Tannehill has been in this league for way too long. He's been starting in this league way too long. We have not questioned Ryan Tannehill since he's been in the league. We've just accepted it. But as soon as Brock Purdy has one bad game, it's like he can't do it. He's not the one. Now, I think Josh Dobbs could be a better quarterback and probably will be a better quarterback. I'm not saying, I mean, with the confidence Brock Purdy gets, maybe not. I think confidence is a big thing, and Josh Dobbs has been in the league for a few years. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I see where you're coming from. The Lions have an easy schedule besides the Cowboys down at the end, which is going to be a fun game. That's going to be such a great game. I love when the Lions and Cowboys play. I don't know why. It's a team I really like. Outside of the Eagles, of course, a team I really like to watch is the Lions, and a team I really like to watch lose is the Cowboys. So it's a win-win for me. Detroit is just such a hard-hitting town, and I feel like the fake fans of Cowboys, no, not all of them, but a lot of them, all around the world, it's fun to see a small team like Detroit come in there and beat them.
Yeah, it would be good. I mean, I just hate, you know how I am, a Giants fan. I gotta hate on Philly, and I don't like Nick Sirianni.
Nobody does except us. Everybody hates him.
Exactly.
Hey, I like him. I like him. I think he's mad.
And that's what you need. Love it. He knows that once we have 2 losing seasons in a row, he's getting fired immediately. But that's fine. It's fine. If you're gonna bring this energy, because if he brings that energy while we're losing, see ya. It's fine. That's just how it's gonna go. But while we're winning, that's all you need. That's all you need is a hype man. When you got a team like we got, and you just the guys who are a bunch of like ballers, our defensive line is insane, and all you got to do is hype them up. Cool. We got Jalen Hurts, we got AJ Brown, we got Devontae Smith, we got DeAndre Swift, and maybe probably the best O-line, if not second, third best O-line in the league. You don't got to do much, but make a fool of yourself, because that's what we do, and we love it. The more people hate us, the more people hate him, the better the team's going to love him. That's just how it goes until you start losing, and then they're going to hate him too.
I'm surprised to hear you say you're a Sirianni guy, Cam, honestly. You're the first non-Eagles fan I've heard that likes Sirianni.
Too.
I just love that type of energy when like the coaches, especially in football, are just like I said, he's just a madman. Like he is insane, and I love it. I don't know why, but I do. It's the same thing with Kirby Smart at Georgia and like college ball. Like he is just absolutely insane, and I love it. Dan Campbell, I feel like, is the same way. Like they just want to go out there and they want to compete and they want to win, and that's why they're there, and they're doing a great job at it.
It's like that. I don't know if it's this. Oh, is it the UConn coach in basketball? The guy who just gets fired up over everything. I can't remember, but he's screaming. His face is red. He's high-fiving his teammates. They win a game, go out on the court and celebrate, then try to get all suited up for the handshake. I love it.
They got Hurley. Yeah, they got Hurley coaching for him,
man. Yeah. And people, Buddy Ryan, the Eagles coach. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who who has an attitude and wants to prove himself like Nick Sirianni. Buddy Ryan was the guy. I mean, fake kneeling while beating the Cowboys. We were up big, fourth quarter, fake kneel to end the game, throw a touchdown pass just to rub it in. Don't shake hands. People want to fight him. He talks trash. That's who we need. That's who we need. It works for Philly, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. So I guess so we're talking about we're debating Josh Dobbs, versus Brock Purdy, all that. I got a question about Josh Allen. I've never been a Josh Allen guy from the
Really?
start. Watching Daniel Jones all the time, to
No.
me, he's glorified Daniel Jones. Is he in your top five?
Top five quarterbacks? No, not right now. Not right now. He's
Oh,
above Daniel Jones, but he's not in the top five.
well, everybody is above Daniel Jones, but
Yeah.
who's there? Who's there? Who's your top five?
Top five off the bat. Patrick Mahomes number one. Um,
Yeah,
that's a given. I don't need to go into detail. Jalen Hurts number two. Jalen Hurts has been having a better passing season this year, which is a great sign for him. Man, that next three, that's a tough call. Herbert can't be in it. He's not winning. We've had a lot of QBs go down. I think Lamar's got to be up there. I think I can put Lamar at three.
yeah.
Burrow's hurt, and I mean he was playing well, but I wouldn't say he was playing elite. So two other guys. Man, Allen might have to be in there. I'm not going to put him there because he's been an absolute interception machine. But that's his game. His game has always been throw the ball up and somebody comes down with it. And this year, I mean, it's just a game. This year it hasn't worked out for him. This year the ball hasn't gotten to his wide receivers' hands. It's his fault, absolutely, but it's worked out in the past. Throw it up and hope somebody gets it. But man, I don't think not Geno Smith. I'm thinking of those top teams in the league. I wouldn't have Purdy in. I wouldn't have Dak Prescott. Boys,
Wow.
what are
Okay.
we?
You would have Dak Prescott over Josh
No,
Allen?
I would not have Dak Prescott. I wouldn't have. Would not have Purdy. Would not have
All right, all
Prescott.
right.
I'd have Josh Allen over Dak
All right.
Prescott. I'd have Tommy DeVito over Dak Prescott. If I had to
Tommy
choose, if I wanted
DeVito.
a team to win, I'd take Tommy DeVito.
Well, that didn't work out last
No,
week.
and it probably won't work out this week. But I mean, we'll get into a fire Dable situation another time because I think you can't fire him after
No,
two seasons now. But
no. I mean, you led this. That team is this. We've gotten better in the offseason, and
mhm.
I mean, and we just had a lot of bad injury luck. I think he's the guy. I think him and Joe Shane are fantastic together, and the Giants will be all right. I'm not worried about them. A lot of injuries. You lose the best. Okay, top three left tackle in football. That's hard to come back from that.
No, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I'll get back to it. Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah,
easy
sorry.
number one. Jalen Hurts, easy number two. I think Lamar's got to be number three. I think you give it to Jared Goff. He's been lined up. He's been a little wishy-washy. He's had a lot of running back help. He's had a lot of running back help.
Whoa.
He has a lot of running back help and a lot
Okay.
of defensive help.
All
I think
right.
Jared Goff, with the team he has, which you said is the best team in the NFC, can be on there.
I did.
And if I had to go with five, I mean, Dobbs is playing well. I'm not going to give it to Dobbs.
We're getting crazy here. You really don't want to put him in your top five? Okay.
Oh, wow.
No, I got, and I'll put Tua. I'll put Tua in it. I got leaving Trevor Lawrence, leaving all those boys off. I got Tua in the top five.
Okay. All right. Cam, I saw some facial expressions. Let's hear what you got.
I mean, some of those names that were mentioned, I don't even know if I'd put them in my top 10. Like, respect to Dobbs, what he's doing right now, but Josh Dobbs is like 15 to 20 range, maybe.
I didn't put him in there. I just named it.
My top five is going to be Patrick Mahomes, number one. It's going to be Jalen Hurts, number two. Injuries aside, Joe Burrow is number three. Lamar is number four, and I do still have Josh Allen at number five. I don't think there is more than those four QBs I just named. I don't think if you were a franchise, right, and you had to pick your quarterback, you could pick any quarterback in the league. But those four quarterbacks were already off the board. I don't think there's any franchise that is not picking Josh Allen first. He's a great playmaker. Despite his down year, because he's thrown so many picks, he's still thrown for 2,600 yards, which is fourth in the league right now. He has a 70.3 completion percentage, which is second in the league right now, only 0.4 behind Dak. And he does have 19 touchdowns, which is, I think, top five in the league, if I'm correct. His QB rating is actually still pretty good, aside from the picks. I just think that right now, the Bills kind of got into a purgatory with their offense. I think teams were figuring it out. I think they were scheming them very well. They actually switched up their offense going into this year. They were running a lot of 2 tight end sets last year, and they came out this year with a lot of 1 tight end set with just Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid rotating when they took Dalton Kincaid in the first round last year. About 2 weeks ago, I think it was, they switched it back up and started going 2 offense set. They started scoring more points. And then Dawson Knox gets hurt, and they go back to the 1 tight end set with just Dalton Kincaid. And since then, they haven't been that good on offense. They fired their offensive coordinator the other day. I just think that Josh Allen is a really good quarterback. I always have. I always thought of it since the draft that he came out of 2018. Yeah, 2018
Yep,
draft
22.
Out of Wyoming. I always thought he was going to be a good quarterback. I think he's still top 5. I think there's about 2 or 3 quarterbacks pushing on the door of that number 5 spot. Those being Tua, C.J. Stroud,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam Howell.
Oh, Sam
Sam Howell's been
Howell.
playing really well. He's they're going to convince themselves he's the guy. He's not the guy. But with Josh Allen, if
I
you're
don't think he's
talking
the guy.
top 5 right now, first of all, Joe Burrow can't be. Second of all, I just don't think I love Josh Allen. If we had a redo draft, I think number 1, 2, 3 that go off the board would be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. I think that's how it would go if you had to redraft the NFL right now, and I'm fine with that. I think Josh Allen is
Surprised.
incredible, but
Okay.
the way they count it by winning. But if we're going to talk about his sets and how it's switching and how it's different, Josh Jobs switched teams, and he's playing the way he's playing. I can't sit here and say that, oh, Josh Allen, this team you've been on your whole career, and you guys are switching up a little bit here, and people have read you and figured it out. Fine, you have to adapt. It happens to everybody. I can't say that and accept it when someone like Sam Howell is playing as well as he's playing, coming in here just making it up himself, trying to play the game, and then you got Josh Dobbs getting traded, going to a team, not even knowing his teammates' names, and going on the field and competing, and then still playing elite. Honestly, throughout, I wouldn't say elite all season, but he played well in Arizona with such a horrific team, and coming here. So I think you're right. I think he is still overall, if teams were to trade, they're going to take Josh Allen, guaranteed. He is a gunslinger. It's fun. When it works, he looks like the best player in football because that's just who he is. He runs guys over. He puts his head down. He's a player you don't see much. So I agree. But right now, I do have them off because they're not winning and they're losing games they should win. They're losing poorly. It doesn't even look good. It's not fun to watch. I think he's better than some of these guys, but right now he's not playing like it.
The only thing with that for me, you're talking about the winning, is I think it's kind of similar to the Caleb Williams situation in college. The offense is great. The quarterback is great, but the defense is. I don't think Buffalo's defense has been good this year at all.
They've had a lot of injuries, yeah.
And I think that's been a big problem. I think that's why Josh Allen has been having to throw these jump balls 40 yards downfield to guys like, what's his name, Khalil Shakir, and, just random receivers that you wouldn't usually throw them to. I'm pretty sure Stephon Diggs has also had a top 5 or top 10 double team rate this year. So when your number 1 wide receiver is being essentially taken out of the game and your number 2 is Gabe Davis, and then your defense is not on the field for a long time at all, and you're just having to make something happen, he's going to have the stats that he's had this year. I just think my final point here is Josh Allen is top 5. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Down near, yeah, whatever. But Josh Allen is top 5 quarterback in the league, easily.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have him there. We'll get to my top 5 in a minute. But my question is, and you guys might agree with me on this. I've seen a lot of people, in the media talk about Josh Allen is a gunslinger. He's throwing all these picks, but then we're worried about Lamar Jackson when he's got 2 interceptions in the game. That one of them was a tip ball that went for a pick 6 that wasn't his fault at all. And I just wonder a little bit why people are concerned about Lamar Jackson. And obviously a little bit last night put that away a little bit. I mean, he dominated last night, but why are we worried about Lamar but not Josh Allen?
When you get
call him a gunslinger, but
Well, I don't think people are concerned about Lamar at all anymore. I think anybody gets questioned after an MVP year. Anybody. He did get a lot of questioning in the beginning because he was inaccurate for the beginning of his career. Not horrifically. He was still obviously an elite player. When he,
Well, I mean, it just this year in general. They were talking last week. I saw Stephen A. and Shannon talking about Lamar is worrying them this year. He's not been that guy. Whatever. I mean, and then the next week they're like, "Oh no, I'm not worried about Josh Allen. Like he's just a gunslinger. Like I don't see the
they
difference
get
there."
paid to say stupid things. That's why they get paid. Lamar, no, I don't. If anybody's questioning Lamar right now, they don't know ball. They don't know ball whatsoever. Because Lamar, I have. There's not a doubt in my mind that Lamar can win any big game. He can beat any team right now. This man can beat any team right now, and it's. I think there's no question behind it. Now they got beat up a little bit, but Josh Allen has shown it before that he can be a gunslinger, and Lamar didn't necessarily show that coming in. He was running a lot. He still runs, but he's shown that he can throw the ball. He can show that he can hit these receivers. I think if Stephon Diggs is on the Ravens, I think there's a whole different
Oh
conversation being had
yeah,
here
whoa
with
yeah.
who Lamar Jackson is. Even then, because he's already got some decent wide receivers, some good guys on the outside, and if you take that coverage off and they have to look at Stephon and he's got another option, I think there's no doubting Lamar. I think he makes that play 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah. So Cam, you on the same page? You're not worried about Lamar?
No, I think Lamar is fine. I just think that there are certain teams that have figured him out by now. And so if I'm the Ravens, I don't want to see those teams in like the playoff scenarios. One of those teams being the Steelers. He's been like the Steelers have just been Lamar Jackson's kryptonite. Now, Steelers fan here, I'm not trying to be biased, but like if you go look at Lamar Jackson's stats against the Steelers historically since he's been drafted, they have not been great at all. So I just think that you just kind of got to hope if you're the Ravens that a team isn't going to come in there scheming Lamar Jackson like the Steelers have or, something like that because they will somewhat shut him down. Lamar is one of those guys that you can't really shut down. You can limit him, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
shut him down. Um, but since they brought in Todd Monken this year, former offensive coordinator at Georgia, that's had the high-powered offense the last 2 years, went into back-to-back national championships. Their offense has been a lot better. Their run game is getting better. Bringing in Zay Flowers was a great idea. The only worry I have right now about Lamar Jackson is them losing Mark Andrews last
Yeah,
night for a
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
significant.
tough one.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's big. That's a big
I
deal.
agree. Hopefully that tail end of the tight end room can come together and they seemed all right after him. I mean, they had some guys out there catching the ball and then getting in open space, but Mark Andrews is a top guy you don't want to lose. But I think
Yeah. I think Isaiah likely can ball though. I
mhm,
think he can ball a little bit.
I never thought I'd hear somebody say that Lamar Jackson would be scared of of the Steelers. I feel like that sentence should be turned around. If you guys make the playoffs, I think you guys should be scared of the Ravens. But but it's a division game, and I just at that point I throw the playbook. Throw the history book out the window. I don't want to see the Commanders in the playoffs as an Eagles fan. I don't. We can't. We play them so poorly, and they play us so well. I get it. I get what you're saying, but with figuring out him while they're figuring him out, schemes change. That's the whole point of the NFL. If your scheme's not good, you're not going to be good. He is a scheme guy. But the more this happens, the more he plays, the more he becomes efficient throwing, and he can keep his legs on him without getting injured. Boy, he is going to be a scary man in this league for a long time. And I think he's a lot harder to figure out than a lot of other running quarterbacks.
I agree. I agree for sure. One quick note I just wanted to point out real quick. Going back to Josh Allen, out of the top quarterbacks, and this includes Sam Howell, whose Washington's offensive line has been historically bad. Josh Allen has had the
Sam Howell's fault for running out of the
lowest.
pocket and getting tackled every other play.
That's true. Josh Allen has had the least amount of pocket time on average in games this year. So another factor into him having to just chuck the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. This isn't in order. This is just here's a list of guys. I'm taking over Josh Allen right now. We're not talking about what Josh Allen has done in the past. We're not talking about what I think he can do in the future. We're talking about I need to pick a quarterback to win games
A
for me
list
right
of
now.
guys is crazy, but go ahead.
A list of guys I had Burrow on there. He's hurt. Obviously, you can't take him this year
Mhm.
anymore. I got Mahomes, obviously, Lamar. I don't love Herbert, but I got Herbert
To
over
win
Josh
a
Allen.
game,
I'm
to
taking
win a game,
to
he can't
talk
even
about
win his own
yeah.
games.
He can't, but the guy who's led the league in picks every single year since he started. I don't
You
love him.
can't
I
choose
just
him
don't.
to win a game when he can't. I mean, they are historically so bad. When you see the Chargers are up in the fourth quarter, you know they're gonna. If they're not up by at least 17, they're gonna lose the game. They keep
I mean, that's
historically
true.
bad.
I think that's a little bit of Brandon Staley's
I
fault
was about to
too,
say
though.
Brandon Staley is also probably the worst coach in
I
the NFL.
love Herbert.
But I'm not high on Herbert. I think Herbert is not that guy. When you need him to make a big play, he's not gonna be there. Just like Tua for me, they're neither one of them are gonna make that play you need him to make. And so, but I'm still taking Jalen over him. I'm taking Dak over him. I hate to say it. I don't like Dak Prescott, but Dak in the regular season,
Oh my
Dak
goodness!
Prescott is that guy in the regular season. Let's be real. Over Josh Allen. I don't know if they play this year, but if they do, I'm taking the Cowboys in that game, and I will stand on it. I don't know if they play. I should have looked. I'm also taking C.J. Stroud over him this year. C.J. Stroud has been that guy. I'm taking him over Josh Allen. That is what 8 guys, barely cracking the top 10 for Josh Allen. He's a pick machine. He's a turnover machine. He's been fumbling a lot this year too. He reminds me of rookie Daniel Jones. Yeah, he can throw the ball
He
way down the
reminds
field,
you of
but
rookie
he's gonna
Daniel
turn the ball over.
Jones. Josh
Yep,
Allen reminds
yep,
you of
yep.
rookie Daniel Jones. You know,
That's how. That's how low
That's
I think of Josh Allen.
crazy.
That's how low I think of. I do not think that he is ever going to win a Super Bowl or an MVP. He's not ever going to win one. He just can't.
they're gonna find some guys. They're gonna put him around him, and he's gonna win. I mean, if you put him,
He's got guys. He's got guys right now. He's got one of the best
go
receivers in
on.
all of
Who else?
football. And then, I mean, Gabe Davis can stretch the field. He's not like a top guy, but I mean, you've seen him exploit his matchup down the field. He's a big receiver. You throw a jump ball to him, and that's what he's done with Gabe Davis. That's why we even know what his name is, and I get it.
But that
But
attests to, like you
I
said, you
mean,
got a big guy down there. You throw up a jump ball, and Gabe Davis isn't winning anymore. And now it's Josh Allen's fault because last year it was Josh Allen making these plays. Now it's Josh Allen not making these plays when he's playing. He's doing the same thing. Now he's got a worse offensive line, not getting help. But it's just I can't. Those guys above him are.
if you get the credit, you get the blame in my eyes. If we're gonna give Josh Allen the credit for throwing those 50-50 balls, we got to give him the blame when they're getting picked off. I mean, Gabe Davis is the one making that play down there, right? If we're talking about he's throwing that jump ball up, somebody's got to make the play for him. So just because his receivers aren't making the plays, we gave him the credit. We got to give him the blame, at least
I
a
think
little
their
bit.
play calling's been dead too. Their play calling's been so boring. It's been so predictable. Like I can sit on my couch and sit there and tell you what they're going to do next because I'm not even scared of the run game. I bet you I could be back there a middle linebacker and be like, hey, just guys, don't worry about it. I'll take this one on one. Cook's gonna. I mean, he's not. He's young. He's got a lot of potential. It's not working this year for them. They need something different. I mean, you
I
can't
mean, they
run a
fired their
draw,
offensive coordinator.
and
We're
then
about to
it's
see.
just these same plays all over. And then you got probably Diva Watch on Stephon Diggs with causing problems now. That he's like, oh, and Trevon's like, got to get my brother out of there. Like stuff like that. It's like, man, you're gonna tear a team apart from the inside. Because like even if I'm playing in the backyard and somebody's like, get him out of there, I'm like, okay, I don't want you, I'm not gonna throw you the ball now because somebody said that. Let alone like someone as big as him going out to the media saying that stuff like that. It's not looking good for the Bills.
I still don't want to see him in
No
the playoffs.
chance.
Though.
I wouldn't want to see him in the playoffs either. I'm nervous for the schedule when the Eagles play him.
Yeah, the only problem with the Bills right now that's going to be hard for them is their remaining schedule. It's really tough. Eagles, Chiefs, Chargers, Cowboys, Dolphins
Yeah,
are
that's
five of
so
their
fun.
last
That could be good
7
for him
games,
though.
so
That could be good for him.
Yeah,
it could be. It
I'm
really
never worried
could.
about the Chargers. I'm never worried about the
Except you want,
Chargers.
you
And look, I know I
want them
just
to
put.
have the game winner for you when the game's on the line.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not high on either guy. I think Herbert's just horrifically overrated. He can put up these numbers, but when come down to the fourth quarter, he's got the ball in the 50. For somehow, some way, he's going to lose that game. All he needs is 3 points. He can't get it. I don't know. He's just not that guy.
Then how can you put him on a list of guys you want to win the game?
No, he's not over Josh Allen. I just don't think. I think Josh Allen. I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to put Herbert over him, and I said that when I said it, but I
I'd have
still
Sam
just
Howell.
I
I'd
don't
rather have Sam
trust.
Howell win a
I
game for
don't
me.
trust Josh Allen. I don't
You
know.
wait, time out. You don't trust Josh Allen?
No, I don't trust Josh Allen.
All right.
I mean, I would not be. I would be just as surprised as they missed the playoffs as if they made it at this point. Honestly, would you just read me the remaining
That's tough.
schedule? I mean, they might win.
Um,
They might win that
it's
division because it's not
home
very
against
good.
the Jets, and then after that, I'm not sure on home or away, but they play the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Dolphins.
I mean, the Patriots are easy, the Jets are easy, but the rest of those are solid. If the Dolphins can put a little bit of defense together and they win that game, that game might be for the division. And then, depending on how the Bills fare in the other games, they might find themselves sitting at home come
I think
January.
next week is going to be the biggest game of their season. I think if they lose this next game, all confidence is out the window and they're going to struggle all the way down. But if they can put a game together where they look good, I could see them getting right back on their horse and riding it all the way to the end.
You mean like on Sunday? Like who they play? Who they got?
Mhm.
Jets.
I mean, yeah, they should be. If they can't put it together against the Jets, then yeah, they're
I
done.
mean, if you're
They're
going to lose
done.
to the Broncos, who would be are kind of a fun team to watch now. Like I've gone from dreading watching
Hey,
their
the Bron,
games,
yeah,
now I
they
kind
look
of want to
good.
watch them play.
Cam don't agree with us. They've looked good. They've looked better than they have since Russell Wilson.
I'm not saying they're good. I'm saying they're fun to watch because you never expect them to win, and then when they beat somebody, you're like, that was fun to watch.
I just think the matchup against the Bills works out well for them. They've got top 2 corner in the league in Patrick Surtain, who can lock pretty much any receiver down, lock Stephon Diggs down. And then after that, Russell Wilson has been playing well, but I don't think their offense is anything special, and I don't think the rest of their defense, besides Patrick Surtain and Justin Simmons, is
No,
anything
it's
special.
not, but it's fun to watch
I
because of
I mean,
it.
yeah,
that
they did
team that
enough.
came and a team with a really good wide receiver one and decent wide receivers after that, I think is a good matchup for the Broncos, and I think that's why they won that football game.
I could agree with that. I can't. Yeah, I can't watch on that. I mean, I would love to see the Broncos play well just for the hell of it at this point, just to see the Broncos do something with nothing. But
Sean
Broncos
Payton
also
would
have
hate
a
that.
super tough schedule
Sean Payton
remaining.
would hate if they played
So-
well. He wants Russell out of there. Sean Payton just wants their team
Yeah,
to
he does.
suck, just so he can have a reason to get Russell out.
yeah,
Which he will be. He's going to get Russell out of there. There's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, how much does he have? Does he have another year on his contract?
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got some time.
2 years? I
Oh,
mean,
he's
shoot,
got
you lose for 2 more years.
But I think he's gonna. Honestly, I wouldn't. I think Sean will give up a lot for him. Honestly, because that's why I think they kept Russell in because there was a point where they should have taken Russell out of the game. What is it, like 4 or 5 years?
He is under contract until 2028.
Oh my God! Yeah, Sean Payton is not going to be. They can't get rid of him.
They have a potential out in 2026, though.
Oh wow!
So Sean Payton might have job security if he says, "All right, well, give me till 2027, so I can. If this doesn't work out, I can get a guy I want." Then he'll bring Drew Brees out of the booth and have him put him on the field.
I mean, by 2027, you might have a senior in high school trying to be a quarterback. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, it's hard to really secure job security that long. I guess if you're the Broncos, you don't really have another option. You've already picked up Russ for that long, but
His contract's also very backloaded.
Oh,
That's the worst part about it.
Look, I know we've been talking NFL. I want to touch on NBA. I know we don't have a ton of time left. I wanted to touch just a little bit on NBA about a couple of things, just basic stuff. Let's start with your man Boston, James Harden. I know you miss him. Big Sixers fan.
The only place that misses him are the strip clubs in Philly because they're not making nearly as much money.
Why? Not only why did the Clippers trade for him? Why? Like, I mean, I can't even ask. My question was going to be: was it a mistake? Obviously, a mistake. Does anybody think it's not a mistake for them to have acquired James Harden?
I get the idea. I mean, obviously, when he's on the Sixers, I'm trying to root for him. And he's an elite passer. He's an elite shooter. He's a great guard all around. It's not going to work. It doesn't work. It's never worked. He's too full of himself. And we got him. We got rid of Ben Simmons for him, which honestly I can't believe we did in the first place. So I get how we got him. He did not work out. And look at the Sixers playing the best ball I've ever seen them play without James Harden on the team with Tyrese Maxey going off. James Harden will not work anywhere. He will never work. I thought this man my whole life he was getting robbed of the MVP. He's always been able to pass. His passing has been the most underrated part of his game. He's an elite passer. I mean, historically an elite passer, and he's offensively so gifted. Not anymore. It's overdue. NBA is a league of it's a one man show. It's not team ball anymore. Like the team, like when you come to Denver, they kind of switched the gears on that. That was finally a game where I can watch and say this is a fun team together, and I'm rooting for them. But other than that, like you usually get a big three, or Giannis gets in there, and he's a whole different game. But the team's not going to work in LA. Too many old stars. It's a waste of money. He just wanted to be in LA. I'm sure he's going to cause a problem. He's going to get out again, and somebody's going to stop paying him. It sells jerseys. It sells tickets. You hype it up. It works, but he's not going to work in LA. That team's going to be mediocre at best. They'll string some wins together. They'll probably catch a little streak here or there. They'll make the playoffs. Maybe win a series, but that team can't. They've got too many players that want the ball, and also too many players that don't want the ball. With that, because even Paul George is now becoming a passer, and he's not nearly what he used to be. He's still good. Kawhi Leonard's still Kawhi Leonard, but over the years he's getting hurt. He can't stay on the court. Russell Westbrook's James Harden that can't shoot, but shoots just as much. So that team's not going to put anything together. I have no hope for LA. It's just to sell tickets and jerseys and get some excitement in there.
What you think, Cam?
I'm not gonna say it was a bad move yet. I think it's too early to tell. A little bit too early to tell. I know that they've lost 5 or 6 in a row now, since they brought him in. But I think they have too much talent to not figure it out. And a lot of them, well, not even a lot of them, pretty much all of them are veterans. They've got Russ, they've got Kawhi, they've got PG, they've got Harden now. Zubac is getting up there. They've got PJ Tucker, they've got Norman Powell, they've got Mason Plumlee. Like, I think they have a decent amount of talent with a lot of experience, and that's not even counting in the younger guys that they have, like Terrence Mann or what's his name, Bones Highland or Josh Primo. I don't know if Primo's getting any minutes, but I know he was a first round pick not too long ago.
Yeah.
I think they have too much talent to not figure it out. I'm not necessarily going to sit here and say that they're contenders in the West because the West is, insane. But I think that they definitely have a chance to at least make the play-in at the very least, which I know that wasn't their goal probably by trading for James Harden. But I think it's definitely too early to tell. Harden, to me, though, he's starting to fall off as his age has went up. But I think the big fall off from him was the ability to get to the free throw line like he used to be able to. In his 36-point average season, I think he went to the line about 11 to 12 times a game. And now, as of last year, it's down to about 6 a game. That's almost cut in half, and his points are pretty much almost cut in half also. I think that he is a good player to have on a team. I just think they need to utilize him in a better role, especially with a guy like Russ on their team, who's a really good playmaker. I think Harden in the Clippers is a glorified spot-up shooter. But that's obviously not what's going to happen with James Harden. I like what Boston said about team ball, individual ball. It has become a league of individual ball. However, I think the teams with the depth that play team ball are the teams that have the success in the playoffs, like the Nuggets. You look at the Nuggets. They have that star. They have that Nikola Jokic star. But they also have Michael Porter Jr. They have Jamal Murray. They have Aaron Gordon. Like, they have all these guys that are really deep, and that's why they're the favorites to win the NBA championship.
When I say star, it doesn't just stay on the court. I'm talking about social media stars, too. Too much ego in the game. Jokic doesn't care about that. So he's a star. He's a individual.
Jokic doesn't even care about winning. He's just out there to play. He's just trying to go home.
He's the reason that guys should look at the NBA and go, I want to be that. Same thing with Curry. That team was team. That's the definition of team ball they had there while having elite players. and that was awesome. That was
Yeah.
awesome. But nowadays, it's just going. Guys just want to be that guy, and if they're not that guy, they leave to go be that guy somewhere else because you don't want to miss your money.
Yeah,
I
Like
agree.
you
that's
don't want to miss the money. We've seen people miss the money. Schroeder was offered money, so when you see Schroeder miss that bag and now he's getting paid little, when you want to be that guy somewhere and someone offers you a bag in the NBA, you just go. And I get it, but sometimes it's fun to watch team ball. It's fun.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the money statement though, 100%. And this might be a hot take, but from my perspective at least, I think money is honestly starting to ruin sports as a whole in the NFL and the MLB and the NBA, even in college now. I feel like money is kind. I know that that's like the reason sometimes for the most part why these guys do it because hey, they're professionals, they should get paid this much money. But I think the money market in some sports is starting to ruin it for sure, especially in the QB market in the NFL. I don't think there's any reason why guys like Daniel Jones should be getting paid $40 million a year to be a
no.
top 20 quarterback max. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. No, it's and you got no loyalty anymore, right? It used to be you come and you play for that team that drafted you. You got some heart, like your heart is there. You want to play there. You Kobe. I mean, I'm sure Kobe could have gone somewhere else, even when he was 40 and got paid a whole bunch of money to go play somewhere else. But that's just the thing. You go play with that team, and it's so rare to see that. And those are the guys that you see. You know, Steph could have left when the Warriors were struggling, and he didn't. He stuck around, and I personally think that they can really compete this year. I think Chris Paul in that second unit kind of really like addresses a lot of their woes as far as the bench goes. But that's a conversation for a different time. But yeah, it's tough. You don't see guys stick around in a team no more. If they can go make $10 million somewhere else, they're leaving.
Yeah, for sure.
But to me, as far as James Harden goes, I'm a hot take guy. I'm kind of unnecessarily hating on guys sometimes. But for me, James Harden is a stat pattern. He's always been that way. Even when he won MVP, what did Houston do in the playoffs?
Nothing.
He's just not. He's not a team guy. He's himself first, and um, I mean he's a free throw merchant. When he was really scoring, you said it. He's shooting a whole bunch of free throws. Sure, that's part of the game. You can do that all you want, but that's not basketball. That's not the basketball they teach you to play when you're a kid. That's not. I mean, that's not fundamentals. They're not teaching you to take a half extra step so you can draw a foul and go to shoot two free throws. I mean, it's just to me, he's such a toxic part of the team because he's trying to benefit himself. He's trying to drop 15 assists because he wants to look good. He's not trying to drop 15 assists because he wants to drop 15 assists because he wants to see his teammates score. He's doing it for him. And I've kind of thought that way about Russell Westbrook, but he's kind of changed my opinion. Watching Russ on the Clippers, he's a team guy. He really makes his teammates better, and I think James Harden does the opposite. I think he takes a lot from his teammates, and I think
Yeah.
that's really going to hurt them. I don't see them doing anything. Although they got four, guys who are all MVP worthy at some point in their career, it's just not going to work out for them. But I mean, while we're on the topics of MVP, we'll end with this one. I know it's early in the season. I know it's still a lot of preseason hype. MVP, if you want to give top three, top five, however, just who you got now, just so come back later in the season, you can say you were right. That's who you got. Well, actually, let me ask it better. Who's stopping Jokic from winning another MVP?
Luka Doncic.
Okay.
Luka Doncic. Preseason, I always do this every year, every sport. I always like to make a predictions. MVP, defensive player of the year. Whatever, all this, all that. Who wins the finals? Just for fun, like just to see, like this is what I think right now. Let's see how right I really am, because usually you're not very right at all. But I predicted Luka to win MVP this year. I think in betting odds, I looked at it yesterday. Luka is currently second behind Jokic. But the stats are very similar. Both their teams are winning. Nuggets are 9-2 right now, first in the West, while the Mavericks are 9-3. And aside from Luka getting strapped by one of the best defensive players in the league, in my opinion, Herb Jones, the other night against New Orleans, Luka's been absolutely amazing this year. I think that it's going to be a real race. Again, it's like you said, it's early in the year, so there's going to be guys that emerge, and there's going to be guys that fall out. There's going to be guys that, unfortunately, that are in the race and get injured for a little while, and they're going to fall out, all this, all that. But right now, you said top five. I personally, I think Luka is the only guy right now, as of this very moment, that can beat Jokic out. But I think there's a few names that you think of when you think about MVP in the NBA right now, and it's Jokic, Luka, then Joel Embiid. I mean, they're first in the East, and he's been, he won MVP last year,
Mm-hmm.
correct? Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, he's the guy. And then Tatum is right there. And then there's two guys that I feel like you can never count out right now, and it's Giannis and Curry.
Yeah, those are. I think those are right.
Solid.
I think Luka's the answer. I think if it was me, I'd put Tyrese Maxey. If we're going based off the first few games, ignore the game we just played against Indiana. Uh, just kidding. Luka's the guy. I wish Maxey would win MVP. He's my point guard. He's my best point guard in the league. But
Most improved player
he's
for
so
sure.
Yeah, he's been
I
he's
love
been
him. He
phenomenal.
won't win MVP. He's young. I don't think in his career he'll have that opportunity unless he decides to pull an Allen Iverson and Embiid leaves and he somehow takes over the team and wins. He's not going to win one. But Luka's the only one again early in the season right now that could have it. I'm rooting for Luka. I want him to win one. I don't want him. I want him to. I wish he would win multiple. I wish a lot of people would win multiple. I love Luka. He's insane. He's so fun to watch. It's hard though. Jokic is unreal. Antetokounmpo is a freak, literally, and you can't. Even like you said, it's early on. Antetokounmpo not be playing his ball yet, but he's going to. It's going to come down the season. Basketball is known for not having defense until playoffs. Sucks. Every other sport, you got to play hard every game. They still play hard. It's fun, but there's a difference between guarding James Harden in regular season, guarding James Harden in the playoffs, and that's why he couldn't show up last year. That's why he's never showed up in all reality. So, but yeah, Lucas the guy who's going to be the one to compete this year. On to Kumbo. Curry can't count him out because he can always catch fire. I don't think he'll necessarily be in it. Maybe top 5, top 6 by the end of the year. But Luka on Kumbo, Embiid after Embiid's year last year and the reaction he got, I think the NBA is going to be scared to give it 2 years in a row. So he probably won't be in it, but he'll be in the competition. But Jokic is going to be the guy to be behind all season. Hopefully, you can pass him down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think them giving it to Embiid last year and then it kind of being proven that Jokic deserved it again kind of really helps his case. And I know you're going to argue that one. I get it,
That's
but
only
I
because
still think Jokic.
he won the finals. Any other season, if Embiid plays that way, and honestly, Embiid played the season before, he played just as well, if not better. But he deserved the MVP. He deserved the MVP a couple times in his career. He just got put onto not playing enough games. So, which makes sense. I get it. You got to play to win. He deserved it. Jokic just proved that he can win. Also, we had James Harden. Now the conversation is, did we lose because James Harden? We had to deal with him on the team. Uh, maybe that was the issue. Maybe we can put it together this year and Embiid puts it on. But
Yeah.
I don't like to take it away from Embiid, which people do. But Embiid's a freak. He's an insanely talented
No,
player.
I'm not taking it. Yeah.
He's
I'm
historically
not taking it from him.
a top center of all time, and I think there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I'm not taking it from him. I'm just saying it really seemed last year they didn't want to give it to Jokic a third time in a row. And I feel like nobody would have complained if they
No,
did.
I agree. Nobody would
I
have
feel
played.
like,
They don't like doing that in the NBA because LeBron would have won
yeah,
15 in a row if he could.
Yep,
that's
that's
true.
100% true. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. And it's hard to wonder who's going to compete with Jokic. He's just,
He is the most
I don't know.
valuable player. He is the definition of
He
most
is.
valuable player.
And I think sometimes MVP gets a little bit diluted to the best player on the best team sometimes. And
Yep.
it really should be, if you take this guy off this team, what are they kind of thing? And that's kind of how I see the MVP. And that's why sometimes I don't agree with who gets picked for MVP. But you take Jokic off that team, are they going to make it out of the first? I mean, they might make the playoffs, but they're not winning at
No,
a playoff series.
no.
There's no way.
They might sneak a series out, but they're not. I agree. I think and going back to the NFL, I did that in my head. I was like, well, if we're looking at it now, it's this team's winning, which I've always hated. I've hated when people go, well, this team's got a winning record and this one doesn't, because that's why Embiid didn't win it for so much in my life, because Sixers have always been mediocre and we were kind of on the border. But because we had nobody. When you draft somebody like that, he's got no help. He'll dominate, but look, we're losing. They have better records. It's been that way all my whole life. I think they should stray away from that and they should go who's the best. And I think Jokic proved that should be the reason being on this Nuggets team. Even when they didn't win championships, you take Jokic away from that team, that team changes. Top to bottom. They could go from top to bottom by just Jokic himself.
Yeah. So I got one last thing. I'm gonna spring on y'all. I didn't prepare for it either. None of us are prepared for this. So I think it'll be a little fun. What is one thing that you can guarantee is or is not going to happen this weekend? It can be college football, it can be NFL, it can be whatever you want as far as sports go. Obviously, what is your guarantee for the weekend?
Guaranteed not is and is not.
Either one. You could say this is not going to happen or this is going to happen. Whatever. Just you got to think of it off the top of the head. What you got going down?
Man. I'm trying to lean towards NFL. It's a fun thing to look at. Um,
I can
yeah,
start if you guys want.
I got one. If you don't,
Go ahead. Let's see. I'm
the
curious.
Cowboys are not going to cover the spread against the Panthers.
Wow.
They've
Guaranteed.
guaranteed. They've been blowing out every bad team all season long. Panthers are gonna they're coming in. They're coming into Charlotte. The electric city of Charlotte with their insane fans, and
That'll be filled with Cowboys fans.
Dak Prescott's gonna throw a couple interceptions this game, and they're not gonna cover the spread. I believe the spread is 10, 10
It's minus 10.5
yeah.
according to ESPN.
Yeah, they're not covering that.
Panthers have been playing better at home than on the road. I will give them that at least.
That's my guarantee.
Okay. We'll come back to these next week too, so we'll get to see what you got, Cam.
I kind of want to stick on the same train as Boston going NFL spreads, but I feel like this might not be that much of a hot take.
It doesn't have to be a hot take. It's just a guarantee.
Okay, I guarantee you that the Bucs cover 12 points against the 49ers this weekend.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's a little bit of a hot take, I think.
It's a hot take too.
I don't think Tampa Bay is good at all, and I think the Niners defense might score 3 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield.
I think good. The vulnerable point of the 49ers defense this year so far has been their secondary. I think the Buccaneers have a good passing game at the very least. I think they're going to come in and try to control possession, which is how you kind of beat the 49ers. I think they have a chance to do that. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the football game, but to cover 12 points in the NFL, I'll take a chance on that one.
I'm not sticking NFL. I'm going to do this as an App State alum. I guarantee App State goes into JMU with game day this weekend and beats JMU and shuts up all this stupid hype about JMU needs to be in the playoffs, needs to be all this. They're about to lose, and everyone's going to shut up about them. App State, we suck against teams that we should beat. We should not beat JMU. We are not better than them. But somehow, as bad as Sean Clark is as a coach, he is going to go in there, and he's going to have them boys ready to play. Joey Aguilar is going to win them that game. Roll Nears, baby.
Hey, that's crazy because that was about to be mine, but I wanted to go NFL or NBA. That's awesome because not trying to plug, but with me and my friends' college football podcast we both picked App to also upset JMU this weekend. Very excited for that game tomorrow, man.
Go
Roll Nears, baby.
My guarantee, JMU is going to steamroll App State.
No.
Football, baby. Let's go.
Bro's got the villain mentality going.
I like JMU. I hate the disrespect they're getting from the NCAA, and I want them to prove everybody wrong that they need to have. Oh.
See, I'm the opposite. I actually love JMU. I'm not hating on them. I just think that App has historically upset teams that we shouldn't beat. And I think that it's just one of those games. Last year, my buddy made a really good point about this. Last year, we had game day come to Boone last year. We were playing a Troy team that everybody was predicting us to beat, and it was a distraction. I think personally, I was working for the football team at the time, and I think it was a big distraction with everything going on that week. Us getting all this media attention, having to do all these interviews, stuff like that, because of College Game Day coming to our town. And all these events and stuff happening. I think it was a big distraction, and we had to win that game off of a Hail Mary. I think it's a big distraction for JMU because they haven't really been there before either. And I think, like I said, we historically beat teams that we shouldn't beat, like you said, Landon. And I think that we go in there. I'm not going to necessarily say we blow them out or anything. I think it'll be a very close game either way if we lose or win. I think we do win the football game too.
I'm excited. College is so unpredictable, and I think that's why so many people like it. It's just you never know what's going to happen every week. And I think at some point, no, never mind. I was going to say at some point Georgia's going to lose, but they're just so good. I don't see Georgia ever. I mean, shit, they're so good. But, oh man, but we'll see. We got the guarantees. We'll end it on that. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Fanbased. Catch us next week. And I appreciate y'all for sticking around.